Hey, this is Charles Onyett with IGN. I'm here with Anthony Gallegos.
Hello.
And we are playing Path of Exile. I was just going to show off some of the multiplayer stuff in this action RPG, a loot-driven action RPG from Grinding Gear Games.
I like that one guy that's just spinning around trolling this guy.
The other guy is not amused, stoic with his mace. So, I mean, the way this game works, it's like a Diablo-style game. If you're in town, that's where you will see other players, who are all these guys running around. That guy's got a pretty fancy headpiece on.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's a microtransaction because this is a free game, but you can pay for kind of cosmetic upgrades, glowy effects on weapons, vanity pets, and you can also pay to boost your inventory space. But yeah, once you leave town, then it's just you and your group, so it's kind of like the original Guild Wars in that sense, in that structure. However, you know, you don't necessarily have to form a party in town. You can just kind of go to this browser. You can create your own. You've got a friends list, or you can join up with other people. This isn't particularly well done.
Yeah, although I guess I like that people can at least name it so you know what quest they're doing.
Yeah, so you can name it, but you're never... Somebody's got to open a portal for me here, but you're never really sure if they're like through the objective on the quest yet. So you
might join.
Oh, there we go. Somebody opened a portal.
You might join, and then it's like already done, basically. You thought you were joining to help out with the quest. But
yeah,
if
they're like, oh, hey, we're going to kill Piety, who's basically the end boss of the content right now. You know, you could jump in and be like, oh yeah, we killed her already. Well, see ya.
It's interesting to see everyone just running past a blue item like that, I guess.
Yeah, blue's actually, I don't know. I don't have any items, so there's a bunch of ways that you can modify items with orbs. So you can take like a white item, which is like the most basic item, and boost it up to here. I'm gonna turn item names on here. I think it's Z. There we go. Oh, they were on. So you can boost like a really crappy item up to a rare item, and then if it doesn't have the stats you like when you do that, you can use another orb item to readjust the stats, and if you have enough orbs, you can just keep doing that until you find something you like. So it's a really nice sense of customization with every item, and because the way skills work in this game, where here I'll just briefly not be helpful and open up my inventory. Like all of your items have these slots that you put gems into, and each gem is an actual active skill, so that's how you build out your active skill
category. So that
category.
has a lot of active skills.
Yeah, it does.
Wow.
I like this item a lot, and if they're linked, then you can modify. Oh, people are leaving the party now. Oh my god, I'm such a bad party member. If they're linked, you can modify the active skill with support gems. So there's a lot of customization to the system. I think I have to get out of here.
Man, that looked crazy when you guys were all together too. The amount of effects and everything that you guys are just throwing out there is pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's actually a little bit distracting at times. You can't really tell what's happening. A lot of the times when you're in huge battles, and it's just like, all right, well, I don't really understand what's going on. Is somebody resetting this, or I don't really understand what's happening right now. My group is kind of all over the place, and nobody is communicating. I don't know. I may just try to join.
I was gonna say, this seems like kind of one of the potential problems with joining a random group, right? Like, it seems like most games, joining with a party of friends is definitely going to...
yeah, if you can play with friends, absolutely recommended.
Especially because...
here, I guess this is going back to docs. Was this the group I was just in? This may actually be the... Yes, it is.
Especially because the loot is partially shared. Like, you'll see temporarily loot that's only for you, and then once the timer runs out, then it becomes available for everyone.
Yeah, I can show that when I get back to a group that's actually doing something. Sorry for joining the exact same group there. Oh yeah, here's a piety run. I don't know if that's actually going to be happening. I can go to one of the... Let's go to...
It's also cool.
Solaris Temple. Oh, why is this? This keeps refreshing on me. Okay, I'll try to go to this one.
The groups also allow up to 6 people, which is nice.
Here we go. Yeah, you can have a 6-person group. And go through their portal here, and hopefully they're still killing stuff actively. I will find out when I get in. Now, I have found that this is basic... Oh, yeah, they're up here. This is basically the most... Like, joining a group like this is essentially the most effective way to gain experience. Towards, like, where I am, my character's level 51 right now, it definitely starts to get really grindy in terms of level progression. Let me put the correct thing in here. Yeah, around like once you start getting towards level 50, the leveling slows way down. Significant difference. Hey, buddy.
Oh my God.
Help. Help. So yeah, in a lot of cases you feel kind of progress blocked because of just you're not high enough level to take out enemies on your own, or you know, you've actually lost experience because on the higher difficulty settings you do lose XP in this game.
That's
which is brutal.
I was gonna say, yeah. I mean, it sounds like terrible that you could basically spend like a few hours playing and then actually lose all the progress you made, even like the day before.
That can actually happen. You can basically wipe out, you know, a lot of progress that you've been making, which can be frustrating. I do kind of like it though. You know, it's occasionally frustrating, but I think it makes skilled play feel a little bit more rewarding. I kind of wish the XP bonuses weren't as harsh as they are.
Sure.
They feel pretty high, but just having, or XP penalties, I mean, but having that penalty in there, I kind of like the effect.
Man, I love the fact that we talked about this in previous video commentaries we did, but I love the way the arrows stick in characters.
Yeah, it's
only because that archer, she just like puts like 20 of them.
Yeah, it is kind of tough to tell sort of what's going on though, while all of those crazy effects are going off. Like, it's just
everyone's throwing off lightning and fire everywhere.
Yeah, it's a madhouse, and I mean, there are cases if somebody's just throwing just fireball chains all over the place, you're just like, I have no idea what's happening. There's also, yeah, the looting system. I'm not really a big fan of how they kind of utilize it in this game, just because if you've noticed while I'm playing, when something drops like that right there, you see that little bar kind of fly across the screen. It doesn't last for very long. That means that item is basically tagged for my character, so I am only I am able to pick that up. However, once it times out, then anyone can pick it up.
Right, and it seems like the time bar often runs out before you're even done fighting whatever you're fighting.
Exactly. So a lot of times you don't really have an opportunity to really disengage from the thing that you're battling to pick it up. And if it's an item that you really need or something like that, you know, it can be really irritating if somebody else comes in and just grabs it. You know, if you're playing in a good group with people who understand, you know, that's how the system works, then, you know, maybe you wouldn't have a problem because they would offer up the item to anyone in the group at that point and just say, you know, does anyone need this, or, you know, generally just be nice about it. But I mean, it's definitely a system that if somebody is going to be a jerk, they can absolutely be a jerk in this game in the online modes, especially in, you know, these open public groups where everyone's basically just looking for XP or trying to take down one of the boss characters. You know,
it seems like a lot of the...
Well, the other example there is what, like, Torchlight 2 and Diablo 3 do, where the loot that drops is...
totally yours.
...is unique to your screen.
Right.
Yeah, this is another just kind of chaos of everything. I'm just using AoE attacks to try and...
You and everyone else have
let's see if... Can I get that bow?
Nice.
Yeah, but I don't really need the bow, so, I mean, I can drop it.
Right, but it's like, maybe it's an amazing item you can sell.
Yeah, and I mean, you can modify items depending on what kind of orbs you have. Orbs are just kind of rare, so, I mean, you can trade for them. If you find items like that and you find somebody else who really wants an item like that, you know, maybe you could trade them that item and get orbs in return if you barter it. Yeah, I can't really tell where the enemies are. There we go.
I see what you mean. It does get a little visually distracting.
Right? It's like, I mean...
It's pretty.
I like the enemy design. The enemies have really cool attack patterns, but it's tough to appreciate what the enemies are doing unless you're playing solo, because in cases like this, it's just
like, I think there's someone frozen in there somewhere.
Like, I mean, I'm just kind of watching my health globe and making sure it doesn't fly all the way down or something, and keeping my buffs up to help the party out. It's a fairly tough enemy we're fighting here.
I was going to say, wow, she dropped a lot.
See that bobble get? I want that glass blower's bobble. There we go. Also, soldier's boots, pretty good. So, I mean, one of the things you're looking for that sets Path of Exile apart when you're looking at items like this, it's like, oh, white items, who cares? As I mentioned, there's the orbs to upgrade things, but you're also looking for the slot alignment, which you can see on kind of the right side of the item bar.
At a glance.
For my character, I'm looking for red skill slots.
Not that you couldn't. You could equip green skill slots on all those things.
Yeah, I could if I wanted to. It's just those are kind of like dexterity.
Right.
skills, and I don't meet like you can't just put in any gems you want. Well, you can, but
you wouldn't necessarily be able to use the powers.
You level gems as you go, and sometimes you can out-level kind of the requirements that a skill gem will have. So it is possible to out-level them. The nice part is that you can take skill gems in and out whenever you want to. So
without having to pay or...
Yeah, if I have a bunch of red skill gems that I can use that have high strength requirements that work for my character, you know, I can mix those in however I want to, and until I come up with a build that I want to use at the time. And then if that build turns out to be terrible or something, you know, I can just go back. There's no real penalties there.
Whenever I watch Path of Exile, one thing that always boggles me is just that there's no gold economy, right? Like, I'm so used to seeing gold fly out of these from years of playing Diablo and whatnot, so...
Yeah, you don't see that. You do get the orbs, like that bauble I picked up is kind of a part of the orb system. Oh god, level 3. Level 3 is never good news. But yeah, another thing that the game doesn't really explain very well is when you do interact with vendors, because I mean that's what you do in a lot of RPGs. It's like, oh, well, I have a bunch of junk items, I'll just go hand these over to a vendor and get easy money or something like that. When you go to a vendor, there are actually like recipes of things that you can put in the vendor sell slot that they will return to you different items depending on, you know, what you put in there. So like it's possible if you find a white item, for instance, that has linked skill gem slots of all 3 colors, so green, red, and blue, if they're all linked together, that is actually a valuable item. And if you trade that to a vendor, they will give you back, I believe it's called a chromatic orb.
Okay.
I don't have it up right now, but what that orb does is, if you apply it to an item, it will actually... again, I'm not quite sure what was happening in that battle.
I don't think I can, and right there I could actually tell that you weren't the only one because the wizard was still casting crazy spells afterwards.
Everyone's just doing crazy AoE all over the place. But it will, using one of those on an item will reorient the color slot. So if you have an item that maybe has 6 slots, but they're not the colors you want them to be, you know, you can apply that item and try to you know, build something that works much better for you. So it's a powerful item. You know, something that you wouldn't, that comes from an item you wouldn't necessarily assume is valuable initially.
Oh man.
So there's a lot to the game. There's a lot of ways to customize yourself, including, which I'm going to bring up very briefly, this passive skill tree, which is obviously huge. You do get some respec points for this, but generally the decisions you make here are permanent. I can't fully refund all the decisions I've made there.
Right.
So unlike the skill gem system, where you do have some freedom to swap in and out different skills depending on your build, and
oh my god.
Oh, yeah, see, somebody already grabbed that before I even had a chance to. I can also turn this off. I'm just playing with that on because I want to see what drops. I realize how that could be annoying to people watching, but I prefer to play with the item titles up.
One thing I was thinking about was...
yeah, and it's not... The passive skill tree basically requires when you start playing that you really need to figure out kind of which build you want for your character. You know, a general path through that skill tree. Otherwise, you could make a character that's essentially, you know, not terrible, but maybe not an ideal build. Yeah. Not optimal, exactly. So you could wind up being disappointed with it. And you really have no way to fix that, at least in the passive skill tree.
It's interesting that at this point they give all 3 acts for free, but it seems like if you cared about the way your character looks, which obviously is one of the things in these games that kind of drives it.
Sure. I
could see you actually wanting to buy cosmetic items, because obviously you're not low level at this point, and your gear looks okay, but compared to like other games in this kind of vein, I would expect you to look a lot more, you know, mighty than you do.
Yeah, I mean, so they go for the more realistic style, right? The kind of realistic dark fantasy style, more in line with Diablo 2. And yeah, a lot of the standard item designs aren't really that fancy.
Yeah.
You know, they're all right.
No, I mean, you look cool. It's just that by now I would have expected you to have like 3-foot-high shoulder like pauldrons.
Right.
And, you know.
Yeah, I don't have like angel wings sticking out of my back or halos or anything that would indicate I'm some sort of, you know, supernatural power.
Exactly. Your guy looks like a Roman gladiator. Like I could see him fighting in the Colosseum.
But yeah, I mean that's what the microtransactions are for. The one that I assume most hardcore players are going to pick up is the inventory expansion, where you can just go buy more inventory slots, which is really nice because you can store items that may potentially be useful later after you've picked up the appropriate amount of orbs to really to modify them properly. I can go back. Actually, I'm gonna go back to town. Let me use my town portal here. Yeah, there are town portal scrolls, as you've seen popping up. So this is how you...
And scrolls of identify.
Yep, you have to use scrolls to identify things as well. Those are easy to pick up. I'm going to leave my group here, and we can watch all the portals close when I leave the group. There they go. No more access to that stuff. But yeah, if I go back to my stash... well, here's all my potions and stuff. But yeah, here are my orbs. So, chromatic orb reforges color of sockets on items. You can readjust how the sockets link to one another too, if you don't like how the links are set up, which can be really helpful. So yeah, just a lot of turning normal items into magic items, although I don't use magic, which are the blue ones. Adding more properties. Gem Cutter's Prism improves qualities of gems, so you just almost everything in the game is modifiable to some degree, assuming you just have the correct thing to modify it.
And it's those orbs and sort of gems that people use for trading, I take it? Like, that's the currency that people will use in a trade.
Basically, yeah. That will be offered. There is a custom trading interface for people in your party as well. I didn't bring that up. Let's see if I can find anyone doing anything totally crazy. Let's see, if these people are fighting Piety, then that could be interesting.
Oh my god.
If you're going to play the game normally, Barracks, Lunaris Temple 3, oh my god. This is going to be probably on the bottom floor. Also spoilers, by the way, if you don't want to see the last dungeon in the game. This is actually Piety's chamber.
Wow.
Is she alive?
You weren't kidding when you described to me how violent this is.
So,
it's gross.
Yeah, the game gets really dark. The characters really aren't very interesting, but just by exploring kind of where they come from, where they exist, you get a much better sense of personality, which I think comes through pretty strongly in Piety's Lunaris Temple. It is seriously gross. She is up to some terrible stuff. Really, really dark.
Fountains of blood.
So this is what I was mentioning earlier, where it's like you're not sure, when you join these groups, what's going to be going on.
Exactly.
That's exactly the case here, where it seems like
they've already handled
this is done, so I should not be here. I'm going to go back. Please go back. Oh my god. Everyone left the party. Here we go. And then there are 3 difficulty levels. I am just sitting in the second one right now, but at any time I can go over into Merciless, which I've just kind of started here. This is cruel. This is... In Act 3, normal is pretty much a breeze. Through Act 1 and 2, there's no challenge there. It starts to get a little harder in Act 3. Cruel, you have to be careful with the whole way through because you start losing XP.
Right.
And then Merciless, there's an even bigger XP penalty if you die.
Oy. And
the other problem is... Sorry, I was still in that party. The other problem with Merciless is your elemental resistances go way down. So I have Fire, Cold, and Lightning resist and Chaos resistance. My Chaos resistance
is not very good.
No, it's at minus 37% right now, which is really bad because I'm taking extra damage, and a lot of things in the game will do Chaos damage. So I have to be really, really careful about that. So generally, the way I've found is best to be played at higher levels, just to make sure you're making progress, is to just jump in random groups like that, because I'm going to have some serious problems with these guys on my own. Maybe I've just built a crappy character. I know there are definitely people in the game who go through and they're like, oh yeah, this is no problem. Maybe I just did not build my guy properly.
Well, you're doing okay against them, but I see
But these are super
exactly,
basic
I was going to say,
enemies.
compared to the fact that I've played this opening thing on normal, you can normally just walk through these guys like they're nothing.
Yeah, these guys will just fall over, and in this case, they're... some of those guys resist curses. That's unfortunate, because I sort of rely on curses. Of course, the advantage of playing solo is that all of the loot is yours, which is nice.
Wow.
Yeah, so
okay.
There. That didn't take very long. That was like a couple hits. That's why I've been scared to go too far into Merciless, because I'm going to start...
and there was some experience loss, too.
Yeah, losing that. Thankfully, I don't actually have to worry about armor damage or anything. There's no
durability.
There's no durability. There's no repairs, nothing like that. But yeah, I mean, the game's been a lot of fun so far. I look forward to continue playing. And yeah, class choice, since I haven't gone over this yet, there are 6 classes in the game, and each starts at kind of a different point on this passive skill tree. So you can build out wherever you want to once you start, but obviously your starting point is going to determine the first few things you can start learning.
Right. They kind of point you in a direction, and then from there it's up to you.
Yeah, but that is essentially the class difference. So it's not the classes are not very rigidly defined. As you can see, I started out as a Templar, and I've moved down to this starting area here because I wanted to learn more. I wanted to get more life. I wanted to get more armor.
Made yourself a bit more tanky than you normally would be.
Yeah, and I picked up some extra resistances here to help me survive, because they will keep dropping your resistances across difficulties. So that the resistances in particular seem to be especially powerful if you're going to be taking any hits. But obviously I still need to do more because those zombies kind of killed me really fast. So I have a lot more work to do, but yeah, I mean, if you haven't checked out Path of Exile yet, it's an open beta right now. It's extremely free.
Yeah, it's so free that it's like I don't understand how they expect to make money.
I hope it's properly monetized for grinding gear to continue to operate the game, because yeah, it's pretty promising. Oh my god, these guys are still here. But yeah, for more coverage on Path of Exile as it continues in development, keep checking back with IGN.